So I've talked about this idea with several people, and it's taken many forms. The idea that the way you interact with everyone or anyone, you can influence the interaction. You can change it for better, for worse, and it's something I completely agree with. It ties into taking responsibility for the things that happen in your life or happen to you, and without the blame or without the accolades. It's about being the driving force behind what happens in your life. And it's also a concept of realizing that when you walk into a room, you can influence everything that's going on in that room, every conversation that's happening. And I truly believe that. I've seen it happen before. I've experimented with it myself in different circumstances. One thing I want to explain or give some insight to on top of that is we still can't control how other people react to us. We can't control what people do, what people say, what people think. All we can do is give them more options. And an example of this would be you walk into a room and you meet someone and you say, hey buddy, I don't like you, or whatever. Just coming in there with like some kind of negative vibe towards someone. Well, that creates a narrow scope on how that person can react to you, right? They're going to be offended. They're going to come back with some smart remark. They're going to ignore you. And then it's a ripple effect on the actions and interactions that you have after that. So the idea is, when you are being open, when you're being honest and authentic and positive, it creates more options for how people respond to you. And if you walk in with a negative, attitude, and when you confront someone, you're going to get a narrow spectrum. If you walk in the room and you're like, hey, how's it going? Nice to see you again. It gives that person more options. Now, they can still react to you in a negative way if they choose to. Get away from me, I don't want to talk to you. That's a possibility. And they can also come up and give you a hug, depending on the circumstance. And every option or possibility in between, right? All that gray area, okay? But what you do when you are open and authentic and positive, you give them the ability to act in a wider spectrum of behavior. So in a way, we're not controlling what other people do, but we give them more options on how they deal with us. And when you're like that with someone, or you have, consistent positive interactions with people, then they're going to be more on the side of always having a positive, reaction to you and act appropriately as far as that goes. So to clarify again, it's not about controlling other people's reactions to us, because that's impossible. That'll never happen. But we can definitely influence the interactions we have based on how we, portray ourselves, how we choose to interact with the people that we come in contact with. We give them more options on how they can interact with us, rather than narrowing it down to a very small few options that the person may choose from to interact with. So think about that next time you interact with someone. That maybe it's normally not the best type of interaction, or not an interaction that you would want to have, act differently in that situation and see how that person responds to you. You have to accept it however they respond. They may still respond to you in a negative way because that's their choice. And then you handle it from that point forward. But when you consistently give people more options on the way to interact with you, more good things are possible of happening. Something to think about. You guys have a good night.